Alright, now that we've got all our procedures set up and we've got our objects to spin off out of the drop zone, we need to deal with this problem that when the user clicks on and drags on the background by mistake, everything changes. And for a preschooler or a kindergartner, that would really be difficult for them to deal with. So what we're going to do is set the camera up so that it when it's moved, it actually goes back to an initial position. So I've pulled this down and I'm on the camera, and I've got several procedures for the camera, and one of them is what's called set vehicle. And a vehicle is just something that moves the camera around. So I'm going to drag that to the top, and then when it asks what vehicle I want to use, I'm going to use that camera position disc that we put on earlier. So the camera position disc will be where the camera goes. And then I'm going to pull up a move to, and then move it to camera position. So the camera will move to that position. Then I'm going to pull up a point at, put it at the top, and this time point it at point camera, that disc we put on that's in the center of the scene. Okay, so when I run the program now, the camera moves and points at that spot that we had put on earlier. Now notice that it's not quite where we want it to be. It's a little too far to the right. So I'm just going to have to adjust it a little bit. Go back to setup scene, drag it over a little bit, drag it there, and then give it another try. Just run it. Alright, now when it's pointed there, it seems to be pretty good. So I'm going to go back to edit my code, and I want to put these same two things inside my while loop. So as the while loop goes around and around and around, every time they move the background, it'll hit these two things and then go back to the original position. So it's too far to drag them down, so I'm just going to put them in again down here at the bottom. Alright, but before I put those in, I better notice here that I have this on this point camera, which is not what I want. I want it on this camera. It's an easy mistake to make, to add something for the wrong object. So now I'm back on this camera, so I'm going to do my move to, put that in there, move to camera position, and then add in my point point camera, and I'm going to change the details on these, the duration. Go to duration. I'm going to set this to be 1/4 of a second, and set this to be 1/4 of a second. And then at the very beginning, those I'm going to set my durations to be 0. So do the add detail, and I've already done that on this one. So add detail, and then you'll need to go to the custom decimal number, pick 0, click OK, and do that for both of these. So these will happen instantly, so you won't even see them. And then the others, when they do move it, it'll take 1/4 of a second, so it'll be relatively smooth. So I run my program, it's pointed at this. I do these things. If I accidentally move the background, it moves itself back to where it started, and the person using it won't get lost.